Hello, dear students. Today, our topic of deliberation is Principles of Inheritance under Muslim Law, Part 3rd. In continuation of our earlier lectures on Islamic law of inheritance, let us now proceed to the detailed discussion of Class 2nd and Class 3rd ayahs. The ayahs of Class 2 are classified into three groups. The ayahs of Class 3 are divided into four groups. The Class 3 ayahs do not inherit together with the Quranic ayah except widow or widower. These ayahs do not equally inherit with the residuary. Class 2 ayahs. The Class 2 ayahs consist of agnates. An agnate is a person related to the deceased through male links only. For example, the son's son or the son's daughter, the father or the father's father. Agnates by relationship are classified into three groups. First, agnates in their own rights, asaba bin nafse, agnates in another's rights, asaba bi gari. Number third, agnates together with another, asaba ma gari. All the heritable estate that remains after the payment of all legal sharers, Quranic ayahs, is taken by the agnate in his own right. Thus, a female can never be a residuary in her own right, but can be a residuary in another's right or together with others. An agnate, where he happens to be the only heir, would take the entire estate as a residuary. Agnates in their own rights, asaba bin nafse. Agnates in their own rights have been classified as number 1, descendants of the deceased, number 2, his ascendants, number 3, descendants of his father, number 4, descendants of his grandfather. Preference is given to the nearest male relative, then to the one nearer than the rest in the following order. First, son, then son, how low soever, then father, who when accompanied with one daughter or more becomes a residuary as well as a sharer, then father's father, true grandfather, how high soever. Then father's descendants, namely full brother, then consanguine brother, then full brother's son, then consanguine brother's son, how low soever. Then comes the turn of the grandfather's descendants, namely the father's full brother, then consanguine brother, then full paternal uncle's son, then half paternal uncle's son, how low soever. Then comes the father's paternal uncle, then his son, then the grandfather's paternal uncle, and then his son to any degree of descent. This group consists of limitless number of blood relations who are all male agnates. They constitute the most important class. In reality, these constituted the tribal ayahs of pre-Islamic Arabia. An interesting subclass of agnates is that of the sons. The son is not one of the strictly Quranic sharer, but he is a special agnate who cannot be excluded by any other ayahs of any class and who excludes other ayahs, agnates or excludable sharers. Thus, in the first instance, the residue devolves on the son or sons together. Illustrations. Number 1. A dies, leaving behind 2 sons, 2 sisters, and 1 brother and father's brother. Sons will exclude sisters, brother, and father's brother. The whole estate will be divided into 2 parts. Each son will take 1 part. Number 2, A dies, leaving behind son, son, and brother. The son will get the whole estate. The son, and brother stand excluded. Number 3, A dies, leaving behind son, brother, and father's brother. The son will get the entire property. He will exclude both brother and father's brother. Number 4, A dies, leaving behind father, father's father, brother, and father's brother. The father will get the entire estate and exclude father's father, brother, and father's brother. Number 5, A dies, leaving behind brother, father's brother, and father's brother's son. The brother will exclude father's brother and father's brother's son. He will get the entire property. Number 6, A dies, leaving behind son and father. The father will get 1/6 as a Quranic heir. The son will take the residue as an agnatic heir, that is 5/6. Number 7, A dies, leaving behind son, father, and father's father. The father will exclude father's father. He will get 1/6 as a Quranic heir, and the son will get residue as an agnatic heir, that is 5/6. Agnates in another's rights, Asaba Bigari. This group consists of daughters coexisting with son, or daughters of son coexisting with son, how low soever, and sisters full or consanguine with their brothers. When a son is present, the children inherit as residuary heirs, sharing the estate or the residue thereof. The rule that the male member takes the double share applies. A daughter thus takes 1/2 of share of each son. This is known as the principle of tasib. A son converts his sister, the daughter of the deceased, into an asaba or residuary, and the daughter is said to inherit in these circumstances as asaba bigari or residuary by another, as opposed to the son who is asaba binafsi or residuary in his own right. Like a daughter, the son's daughter, in presence of son of equal degree, inherits as a residuary through the rule of tasib. Similarly, a full sister is converted into a residuary by a full brother, and a consanguine sister by consanguine brother. Illustrations. A dies, leaving behind son and daughter. The presence of son will convert daughter into an asaba. The property will be divided into 3 parts. The son will get 2 parts and daughter 1. Number 2, A dies, leaving behind 1 son and 2 daughters. The property will be divided into 4 parts. The son will get 2 parts and 2 daughters will get 1 each. Number 3, A dies, leaving behind 2 sons and 2 daughters. The property will be divided into 6 parts. The sons will get 2 parts each and daughters will get 1 part each. Number 4, A dies, leaving behind son's son and son's daughter. The property will be divided into 3 parts. The son's son will get 2 parts and son's daughter 1. Number 5, A dies, leaving behind 1 sister and 1 brother. The brother will convert sister into an asaba, and accordingly the property will be divided into 3 parts. The brother will get 2 parts and sister 1. Number 6, A dies, leaving behind 2 consanguine sisters and 1 consanguine brother. The property will be divided into 4 parts. The consanguine brother will get 2 parts and 2 consanguine sisters will get 1 each. Number 7, A dies, leaving behind 1 son, 2 daughters, 1 brother and 2 consanguine sisters. The son will exclude brother and 2 consanguine sisters and convert daughters into agnatic heirs. The property will be divided into 4 parts. The son will get 2 parts and daughters 1 each. agnates together with another, Asaba Ma Gahri. This group consists of sisters coexisting with daughters or sons' daughters. While sisters coexist with daughters, they should be treated as residuaries. If there is one daughter and one sister, the daughter takes her Quranic share and the sister takes the residue as an agnatic heir. Similarly, if there are two daughters and two sisters, the daughters have preference. They take Quranic share and the residue is given to the sisters. The daughter is preferred as a descendant to the sister, who is a collateral. Illustrations. A dies leaving behind one daughter and one sister. The daughter gets one half as a Quranic heir and sister gets residue as an agnatic heir. Number 2. A dies leaving behind two daughters and one sister. The two daughters will get 2/3 as Quranic heirs collectively to be shared equally by them. The sister will get residue as an agnatic heir. Number 3. A dies leaving behind two daughters and two sisters. The daughters will get 2/3 as Quranic heirs and sisters will get residue. Class 3. Uterine heirs. Dawal Arham. The third principal class consists of uterine heirs or distant kindred. A uterine heir is any relative who is neither a Quranic sharer nor an agnate. The uterine relations succeed to the inheritance of the deceased according to the class to which they belong and to their respective rights. Uterine heirs do not inherit together with a sharer or residuary, except with husband or wife. Distant kindred are of 4 kinds. Number 1, descendants of the deceased. Number 2, his ascendants. Number 3, descendants of his parents. And number 4, the descendants of his paternal and maternal grandfathers and grandmothers. Preference is given to the nearest in the following order. First place is given to the descendants of the deceased, namely children of their daughters and of their sons' daughters, how low soever they may be. Next comes the turn of ascendants, namely false grandfather and grandmother, how high soever. A false grandfather means a male ancestor between whom and the deceased a female intervenes. For example, the mother's father and mother's mother's father. A false grandmother means a female ancestor between whom and the deceased a false grandfather intervenes. For example, the mother's father's mother. Then comes the turn of the descendants of his parents, namely children of full or consanguine sisters and children of uterine brothers and sisters and daughters of full or consanguine brothers, how low soever. Next comes the descendants of the deceased true and false grandfathers and grandmothers, namely maternal uncles and aunts, fathers' uterine brothers, paternal aunts, paternal uncles' daughters, and their children. Next are the paternal aunts and maternal aunts and uncles of ascendants, uterine brothers of male ascendants, and all paternal uncles of female ascendants and their children, howsoever remote they may be. Shares of uterine heirs. The uterine heirs are entitled to succeed in 2 situations. Number 1, when there is no sharer or residuary. Number 2, when there is a widow or widower only. In situation number 1, they are entitled to take the whole estate, and in situation number 2, they take the residue after deducting the share of the spouse. Group 1 descendants. where the claimants are equal in degree and their ascendants, through whom they are related to the deceased, happen to be of the same sex, regard is to be had to the sex of the claimants themselves, while the heirs as well as the intermediate ancestors are of different sexes. Two different views in this regard have been taken. According to Imam Muhammad, the sex of the ancestor would be taken into consideration and property will be divided accordingly. For example, a daughter's son's daughter coexisting with daughter's son. Two-thirds would be given to the daughter's son's daughter, that being the share of her father, and one-third to daughter's son, that being the share of his mother. Imam Yusuf has taken a contrary view. To him, the sex of the claimants is to be taken into consideration. The view taken by Imam Muhammad has been accepted by the Hanafi jurists. This rule, however, is not followed in India, and it is Imam Muhammad's rule which is followed here. Illustrations. Number 1. A dies leaving behind daughter and daughter's son. The property will be divided into 3 parts. The son's daughter will get 2 parts and daughter's daughter will get 1 part. Number 2. A dies leaving behind widow, daughter's daughter and daughter's son. The widow will get her Quranic share and the residue will be divided into 3 parts. Daughter's son will get 2 parts and daughter's daughter 1 part. Number 3. A dies leaving behind daughter's son's daughter and daughter's son. According to Imam Yusuf, intermediate ancestor sex is not regarded and shares are allotted on the basis of the sex of the claimants, and accordingly daughter's son will get 2 shares and daughter's son's daughter will get 1 share. According to Imam Muhammad, intermediate ancestor sex is relevant and it will be daughter's son's daughter who will get 2 shares and daughter's son is entitled to 1 share only. Group second, ascendants. Amongst the ascendants, the estate will devolve upon the mother's father, and in his absence, between those false grandparents in the 3rd degree who are related to the deceased through Quranic heir, namely the father of father's mother and the father of mother's mother. The father of father's mother belonging to the paternal side will take 2/3 and the father of mother's mother belonging the maternal side will take 1/3, despite both are of the same sex. In their absence, the property will be distributed amongst the remaining false grandparents in higher degrees. Group third. This consists of descendants of brothers and sisters. The general rule that the nearer in degree exclude the more remote determines the order of succession. Group 4. In case there are no heirs in group 1st, 2nd and 3rd, the property will devolve upon the heirs of group 4th. This consists of descendants of paternal and maternal grandparents, uncles and aunts and their descendants. The following general rule determine the order of succession. Number 1, the paternal relations take a double share to that taken by the maternal relations. Number 2, the full blood excludes the half blood by father or mother, and those of half blood on the father's side exclude those of half blood by mother's side. Number 3, if the claimants are equal in degree and relationship, the issue of residuary is preferred. The heirs of group 4 are found rarely. Conclusion. In terms of inheritance, the Quranic heirs, who are not otherwise excluded, are followed by class second heirs, agnates. These agnates are classified as agnates in their own rights, agnates in another's rights, and agnate together with another. Amongst these agnates, the son occupies the preeminent place as he cannot be excluded by any other heir of any class. He not only excludes other agnates but even excludable Quranic heirs. In absence of agnates and Quranic heirs, except widow or widower, it is the uterine heirs who inherit. There is divergence in opinion between Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad regarding the allotment of shares amongst the descendants in case the intermediate ancestor differ in their sexes. With this, we come to the end of today's program. Hope you have enjoyed the session. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.